ಕಲ್ಪನೆಯ ರಾಶಿಯಲಿ ಭಾವನೆಯ ಪಾಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನೆರಳ ನಟಿಹೆ ನಾನು ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ಪನೆಯ ರಾಶಿಯಲಿ ಭಾವನೆಯ ಪಾಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನೆರಳ ನಟಿಹೆ ನಾನು ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಸತ್ಯವೇ ಸತ್ಯ ಎಂದು ನಂಬಿ ಬದುಕಿದೆ ಗೆಲ್ಲಿ.
These questions are designed to unfold and explain the teachings of Ramana Maharshi as set out in his original booklet, Who Am I? And Self-Enquiry. And I believe them to be coming from the ancient Indian tradition. So the first question is, Ramana proposed the fundamental question, who am I? Who are you?
Well, I'm your ghost in the female version, you know. Pramananda, well, that's what we call ourselves by a name. And I think the question needs to be looked at which level of reality we want to answer. There is a transactional reality in living a human life, and there are basic metaphysical realities. So when it comes to the ordinary, the transactional reality, yes, I'm Swamini Pramananda in this female form, and a name given to me by my guru, Swami Dayananda Saraswati. If you're exploring the fundamental question, who am I, then you have the answers in Sri Ramana Maharshi's book. Is that clear enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Many Western seekers come to India looking for enlightenment, as if it is an experience. What is enlightenment?
Becoming light in life, I suppose, you know, because we all seem to be carrying so much weight on our shoulders. I would say knowing oneself, the basic inquiry of why a human being is here in the human life, what life is all about, what living is all about, where one is off to when one drops the body, how does one fulfill one's goal of having taken this human life. I suppose one who has been able to access the truth that gives us answers to this fundamental human search, one who has accessed that truth is considered to be an enlightened soul. So I wouldn't say just Western seekers are looking for enlightenment. I think all humanity is looking for some basic answers in life. Many of them don't even know what they are looking for. And in a simple language of the ordinary human being, he would say, I'm just looking for happiness. If you ask anybody, what is it you're looking for? The answer is, I'm looking for happiness. Whatever I do, I basically want to be happy. And so I don't think one seeking enlightenment is looking for anything different. He is also looking for happiness. So whether I can articulate it in so many words, whether I know it or not, I think every human being's human heart is in search of that that free person inside.
And where do we go when we leave our body?
I don't see that as a related question.
It was a little bit tempting.
Well, the scriptures, and I think also the New Age spiritual world, talks about an individual's journey being an ongoing process. A soul, a jiva, whom we call a jiva in Sanskritam, the word soul, I would say a jiva, J-I-V-A, jiva. I do not wish to use the word soul because I do not know the other connotations of that word. It's not an Indian word, and so that soul has certain image in individual's mind. Because I'm told certain philosophies don't consider animals as having souls. And so this, I do not wish to use that word because when we say a jiva in my mind, a jiva is an individual, an embodied being. An embodied being is a jiva. And that's all there is to it, an embodied being. And so this embodied being who's embodied in a human body, we talk about the journey of an embodied being is not just taking life in one body. The journey, this is one of the many births we have taken, and it's a journey of a jiva. You change bodies, like changing a house which is old, which can't function anymore, which leaks, which has problems, and you change because it's no use to you anymore, and so drop a body and pick up another one. So similarly, the jiva also, time comes when he takes this on, a new house, a new rental, and then when time runs out, when the lease is over, you move on to pick up another one. And the question then is, what is it that he accomplishes? And is there a order, is there a system in which he travels? Is there a law? Is there a method about his journey? And the method is defined in the law of karma. We talk about the method as being a person who has made intelligent choices in his life, grown as a human being, matured as a human being. This person who has done good in humanity moves on for better lives. One whose actions have been disturbing the cosmic order, disturbing the peace and harmony around him or in himself, one who's incapable of really what you call adding anything to society, but there to take away. This person, the disturbed soul, in other words, disturbed jiva, when he moves on, he is not going to have a more exalted body than the current one. He is given a body appropriate to what he is capable of. So if he's been barking all his life, for instance, in his human life, if he's been barking, he's been shouting, he's not able to be human, been more animalistic in his pattern of life, there's less chance that he would come back as a human being, because his core person is more more familiar with the animal patterns than human.
We'd expect he's a dog, I guess.
So I didn't want to say that, but something which is appropriate to where he's coming from. But generally they say that having taken a human birth, a human being is given more chances again and again to improve his life. Unless he really messes it up. The very fact that one has come up to a human life, that means he has had the capacity to discriminate, to do good, to be able to take his life further up to the next level. And if he is not able to, then alone he goes back down. Otherwise, the journey is a journey upward. The scriptures say, Durlabham trayamevaitat devanugraha haitukam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshrayaha. This is a little bit of Sanskrit for your ears. It's a traditional text which says there are three things in life very difficult to find. One is manushyatvam. To find, to get a life of a human being is very tough. Okay. And I will explain that in a moment, because otherwise you will ask me, well, it seems very easy in India because this country is overpopulated, and what's the big deal in being born a human? That's not what I mean. A human birth is where one has learned to live like a human being, not like an animal. One who can live a human life, and what that means, I'll come to it in a minute. But that human life, human living is considered to be rare. The second rare thing is this desire to know the truth. One can be a good human being, a simple good human being, but then he can be contented with that, relatively speaking. But if this good human being has a mind which is in search of deeper answers, which sees himself as one related to the cosmic being, wanting to know the relationship between the individual and the total, and is in search of these fundamental answers, that is called mumukshutvam, the desire to know, the desire to understand metaphysically what this world creation is all about. What am I all about? So that is a second rare quality to find. And the third is having discovered that search in yourself. There are many who are searching, but how many have been able to arrive at the right answers? There are so many seekers, good people who are in search of some wisdom, some truth somewhere. And how many of them have been misguided in the name of spirituality. And so to find a master, a teacher, a guru who really can give you the right direction, take you back on to yourself, is a third very, very extremely rare situation. And one who has all three in one's life, manushyatvam, mumukshutvam, mahapurusha samshrayaha, birth of a human being, this desire for self-knowledge or knowledge of the Lord. And number three, a master, a guru, one in whose life these three have come together. He is very blessed soul, That is what is said And groups like yourselves, you are people who, it doesn't take much to know that you are spiritual people, people who are looking for basic answers in yourself. You have come all the way around the globe to spend some time in a land known for its spiritual wealth, and so that is with you. And you have a person in the middle amidst you as one of you, source of your inspiration, who can guide, who takes you to right places, right situation. So I would say you have all three blessings with you, really.
You can come again. So I was going to ask, it fits quite nicely now, even though we went around a little.
Yes.
Are there any qualifications for enlightenment? Is sadhana necessary? And if yes, what form do you advise?
What form of qualification?
Of spiritual practice.
I would say any knowledge requires qualification. You know, we always have, when we want to enter college, we have these prerequisites, you know. They call them the prerequisites. Unless you cover the prerequisites in your credit courses, you are not even given admission in the universities. It's something like this, that self-knowledge is no different. Self-knowledge is knowledge, after all. It's working with yourself, knowing yourself. And like any knowledge, there is prerequisite. Very simple, you know. When a teacher talks to you, when your guru speaks to you, you should be able to understand the language. No, I must at least, one prerequisite is I must have the language in which he talks. I should be able to hold the teaching. Capacity for retention, is it not? Capacity for assimilation. And sometimes capacity to be able to re-articulate what has gone in, so that in my own articulation I gain clarity to what I thought I understood. Teaching is a great way to discover your own vagueness or your clarity, you know. When somebody says, explain something, and you start to explain, that's when you recognize how vague you become. And then we say, no, I didn't mean this. No, I did not mean that. You understand what I mean? You keep, because what is up here needs to come out. And unless what is up here hasn't reached your heart, it doesn't come out well as it should. And therefore, basic, like language is a basic prerequisite. Similarly, since self-knowledge is the wisdom we seek to know, is the wisdom that we seek to discover happiness. It's connected to one's happiness. And the self that is talked about in the scriptures, in Ramana Maharshi's teachings, however we have understood the self is not the physical body. The self abides in this form. The body is looked upon as inert matter. The self is consciousness reflecting in the physical body. Then the body and its attributes cannot be the attributes of the self. When I say I live in a house and the house is leaking, doesn't mean I am leaking. I hope. I'm clear, If I live in a structure, whatever happens to that structure doesn't happen to me. I am different from the structure. And therefore the form of the structure is not my form. The attributes of the structure is not my attributes. So too, when the self is not the physical body, the attributes of the physical body doesn't belong to the self. And when this is the fact, that is the reality, if my life is oriented towards a lot of body consciousness, I am too identified with my body. If my self-image is dependent on the body look of the body, the color of my hair, the color of my eyes, the color of my skin, if I am very body conscious, that means, my pursuits in life are more materially conscious pursuits. Materials that keep my body comfortable. My whole orientation becomes external, in other words. If my orientation is external, I am not really ready or available to go inward. Going inward means being able to suspend my pursuits for the physical body. And therefore, a prerequisite in spiritual life has been over, different religious groups also, is suspending the external pursuits, this living in a consumer society, being drawn into, being captivated by the media, the ads and so on. That kind of a life is not the prerequisite for self-knowledge. In other words, it has to be a life of relative withdrawal, capacity to be able to discriminate between the permanent and the impermanent. Searching for the permanent means I must be able to spot the impermanent. When self-knowledge, when we are looking to know, looking to understand to oneself, that means I am looking for the permanent, is it not? Permanent, something that is not temporary, something that won't go away from me. Self is one that doesn't leave you because you are the self. And this self is said to be the source of happiness. Now, if I am committed to external sources of happiness, I am not available for the true source. And therefore, very naturally, a very important prerequisite for self-knowledge is the capacity to be able to discriminate between the permanent and the impermanent. And once I have discriminated, then I pull my life away from the impermanent and pull it towards the permanent. This two prerequisites is called viveka and vairagya in Sanskritam. In English we say capacity to discriminate between the permanent and impermanent is viveka, and dispassion from the impermanent is vairagya. These two are two important prerequisites that we talk about. The third prerequisite is becoming that human, that first point I mentioned, being human. So one's own growth, the emotional growth of a human being. Emotional growth means being a good person. in my thought, word and action, I am aligned. I don't victimize people in my anger against myself, against the world, against God. I can contain my emotional life. I have a relative mastery over my emotions. I have a capacity to reflect, an intellectual honesty, a commitment to be a better person, to grow, to forgive, to accommodate. All this comes under one qualification, one prerequisite. So we are looking now at three: Viveka, Vairagya, and the third is inner qualities. Person who is relatively kind can discover the nature of the self as being all kindness. One who is relatively compassionate is equipped to discover the nature of the self being all compassion. One who is relatively angry is not ready to discover the nature of the self as being all accommodating. Understand this well. And therefore, the third prerequisite is being a mature adult, working towards inner maturity. And so Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhi, Shatka, Sampatti and Mumukshutvam. Mumukshutvam, these are the four. Tradition talks about prerequisite as being fourfold: discrimination, dispassion, the inner maturity, and the desire to know the self. One who's working with these four prerequisites is one who is ready for self-knowledge. One who has adequately prepared himself with these four prerequisites, is one who is ready for self-knowledge. That is how tradition describes.
And do you suggest any practice that can help the achievement of those prerequisites?
I would say a life conducive to knowing what is permanent and impermanent, conducive. Therefore, being with like-minded people. If my friends are very worldly, that's not, first creating a support group, in other words, creating a support group that can nurture this what you call similar thinking people. And I would say a life of learning, life of self-reflection, a life of quietening down, quietening the mind, simplifying the mind, settling accounts, minimizing my transactions with the world, keeping it minimum, not packing the day with a million things to do. It's endless. It's endless. The sky is the limit for what all we need to do, So unless I do all this, I cannot sit. But by the time you do all this, it's time to sleep. You can still not sit because we are too tired doing the to-be-dones in the day. And therefore, minimizing not packing the best time of your life with too many activities, being more prayerful, because my search is to know the self, and the self that I seek to know happens to be no different from the cosmic self. And therefore, my a certain prayerful attitude towards myself and connected with the cosmic self does bring me closer to that quiet mind that is so essential for this knowledge. So I would say doing what is appropriate for all this to come together.
I noticed that in many Indian ashrams,
Yes.
they have something called karma yoga,
Yes.
which usually means hard work.
Well, unfortunately, it does not mean hard work. In fact, it has nothing got to do with work. Karma yoga has nothing got to do with work. I'm sorry to say this. It has everything got to do with attitude towards work. It's not about packing your day with work. It's about what attitude you carry when you do work, and for which you don't have to sit in an ashram to do karma yoga. Karma yoga, wherever there is karma, there is yoga. Simple as that, you know. Because karma yoga is an attitude towards how I handle the results of action, how I handle life situations, how I handle the very doing of an action. You know, either things can happen through me, or I make things happen, you know. Making things happen and tuning into things happening. And you just, you know, it's like the pot maker. You know, the pot, when you put the right material on the wheel and have the right spinning, a pot maker here, okay?
Where is she?
Yeah, there we go. I hope I have to be careful in what I say, she'll correct me. So you just give the right mold, you just allow it to happen, is it not? You don't do much except you are there to make it come together. The thing keeps moving on its own. The work you do is you are a facilitator, you know, you help it come together. In other words, you tune in your actions to a momentum that is already set. You tune your action into a motion which is already set, moving. You don't cut through that motion, you fall in line with the motion that is already set. When we have come into this world, we've all come with our own karmic package. And that karmic package is unfolding in our lives as our destiny, through our relationships, through our loved ones, through our hated ones, through all these intense emotions that we go through. In the land, we have karmic connections to land, to people, to animals. I'm sure I have some karmic connection to all of you, because I wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't be here today. And so we are all connected. And a person who is in touch with his own the karmic unfoldment of his life, he also does work, but he uses his will and effort to be that pot maker. The thing is already in motion. Why not I use my choices to fall in line with what is in motion, rather than push and pull and have blood pressures and get stressed out and whatnot. You know, this kind of a fight we have with our karma, it's like fighting with shadows. Karma yoga is that attitude in action where I am so graceful about what I do that I don't even really do. I find myself just a facilitator in what is already happening. There is a knack, there is a beauty, a grace about handling life situations with that attitude towards karma. Similarly, when the karma results come to me, every action has a result. That's law of karma. Law of karma is twofold. Or everything that you do has a result. Number two, the result that you gain is in keeping with the action done. And so if you lift your leg to place it in front, this is a step you have taken forward. The result is you have walked ahead. The result will not be that you would go back, you would be ahead. So the action you do has a result, and number two, it is in keeping with the action done. And therefore, the results, when they come to me, every result is again twofold. One is seen and the other is unseen. This is how karma defines. If I do good to a person, there is a seen result, I give charity, help somebody, poor person. There is a seen result. Seen result is my pocket is empty, very visible. And his pocket is full. He is happy, I am happy, I could help. This is called an experienced result, a seen result. Every karma also has simultaneously an unseen result, which is not seen. It is not fructified. It goes into your account, into the cosmic karmic account. And if it is a good action, we call it a good unseen result called punyam that goes into your credit, an FD account. It's an FD. If it's a bad action, a wrong action, you get a seen result, you go to jail, and the unseen is credited to your account called papa, punya and papa. What they translate as sin, but I do not again want to use not knowing the exact connotation of that word. Punya and papa, the good unseen and the good and the bad unseen results, which have gone into your FD. At a future date it would fructify, mature, the FD would mature. And that future date can be in this life, need not be in this life. So while I'm doing a good action, if the bad FD fructifies, matures, understand, you don't see the result of your good action, you get a slap. Sometimes you do good to people and then they pull the carpet from under, they hurt you. You don't see. But it's not that you don't see, you are getting in life what you have put in. Therefore, the attitude towards karma yoga towards result is that capacity to accept the results of the action when they come to me. Not that I don't expect always the best. I expect and I work for it. But what will come to me in life, I do not know. But when it comes, whatever comes, I trust the cosmic justice. I know that the law of karma will not fail because it's a law, like the law of gravity never fails. Law of karma never fails. I trust that so totally that I can receive the results of action with grace. Understand that attitude towards action, attitude towards the result of action, which takes into account the cosmic order, the cosmic law, the cosmic justice. One who has brought that into one's awareness, he is the one doing karma yoga.
Is there a cosmic judge?
A cosmic justice.
Not judge.
You don't need a judge when the laws are in place. Only when there's violation you need judge. You know. So karma yoga is an attitude towards action and its result. It's nothing got to do with packing your day with activity.
Okay.
That's what I understand from the scriptures.
I mean, what you're saying about this cosmic judging is quite interesting for Western people, because somehow we've been brought up with the idea of a higher judge,
Yes.
God Almighty. And a lot of us are carrying inside us some kind of judge. We use this judge
Yes.
every day,
Yes,
usually
yes,
to
yes.
judge ourselves.
Yes, yes, yes.
Would you like to say anything about that?
Yeah, that's very unfortunate, I would say. Really, it is, because, because by the time we discover what we are doing to ourselves, we are already, half life is gone, and and the other half remaining we need to undo with habitual patterns of thinking. That's not easy, and but I would say if one can just be able to think, think that when there is all power in the cosmos, if there is intelligence, cosmic intelligence, if the creation as we understand is an intelligent creation, which we say it is, intelligent because it's predictable, intelligent because we can understand its patterns through the life forms, through the season changes, through the geography, through the geology, through wherever you touch, whichever piece of knowledge you take, it is all, creation is nothing but knowledge, is it not? I always tell when I go to these schools in India, when I talk to children, there is a thinking, that knowledge is in the book, in my backpack, the geography, the arithmetic, the history, all these, the science, the basic sciences, the biology, it's all in these books. Knowledge comes in the books. And it is a shift to understand that knowledge is not in the books. Knowledge is right here. Knowledge is in the creation. All that is here is knowledge. This tree grows in intelligence. There is knowledge manifest here. There is knowledge manifest in this light. There is knowledge in the seasons. It's very intelligently placed, when it comes, when it goes, when the seasons change, when there would be rains. It's all knowledge. Omniscience is not an entity sitting in heaven judging. Omniscience is, the creation is omniscient. The sun has omniscience because it does its job every day intelligently. When it comes, when it goes, there is omniscience in the creation. Creation is omniscience. If creation is omniscience, then there is no entity separate from the creation called God. Omniscience is God. Creation is omniscience. Therefore, creation is God. All that is here is God. All that is here is intelligence, the presence of intelligence. In this breeze is Ishvara, is the Lord. In the air we breathe is the Lord. Is right amount of oxygen. There is right amount of carbon dioxide that comes out. Everything is balanced. There is right amount of temperature in the body. Fire is intelligence. Not too hot, not too cold. Too cold now you will be out. Too hot now you will be ashes. And therefore everything in and around is nothing but knowledge manifest. If we can understand knowledge manifest as the Lord, we'll take away all judgment. There is nobody there to judge. There is no entity to judge. Then why should we judge? There is nothing to judge. There is something to live and own up. I own up the intelligence. I own up the omniscience. I own up the self. I own up the vastness. If I am not the physical body, because the body is inert, the mind also is made of the same 5 elements which is inert. All that we are looking at is omniscience manifest here in this physical body. Where is a question of an entity sitting there to judge, and why would he judge? What for? If there is a good action I do, I will earn its result. If there is a wrong action I do, I'll definitely earn its result. It's all set up in the laws. If I don't want to earn the result of my wrong actions, then I will do what it takes to rectify. I will grow. I will own up my mistake. I will learn. If I am committed to growth and learning, there is nobody to fear. Why should I fear anybody? Last of all, God Himself. He cannot be an entity I fear. If there is anybody who should understand me, is Him. If He doesn't understand me, to hell with Him. I don't need a God who judges me. I've had enough. You see? In fact, there is no God who judges. It is the laws that are at work. I'm working with the cosmic order, the justice. The more I understand karma, the more I understand my relationship with karma, if that can gain a certain, if I can have those breakthroughs in my understanding of karma and my relationship to my own life situations, I can really relax in that order. I would say one can really relax into the vast lap of the Lord. You know, His arms are open right here. If He's looking, He's just say, come on, come in my embrace. That's Arunachala. At least whenever I look at Him, I always feel, He says, come on, you know. That needs to be the omniscience message to us. Especially when He is all power and my power is like power of an ant, you know. What is my power as an individual? How can He, the big man, be judging me, the tiny toddler? And therefore that's very incorrect. I need to drop it from my life. If I can just drop that, as it was one of those bad dreams I grew up with, and let it not influence the rest of my best years, coming years, I can open my heart to that trusting the cosmic justice, you know.
Do you have any tiny little technique that could help to drop this inner judge?
I would say meditations would help. Meditations would help. meditations in which I tell myself that I trust the cosmic order. I know when the omniscient being, when the all-knowing creator, let's call him omniscience, one who is all knowledge. When we say he is all knowledge and he takes care of billions and billions of his creatures on earth and in the rest of his vast cosmos, his galaxies, when he can run such a big cosmos, huge universe is in his hands, in which me, a little soul, is not even a dot seen anywhere in the cosmic vision. That is omniscience. He is handling the whole. It's like, it's like the president of a country. He may be sitting in one place, but his powers extend through the boundary of the country, is it not? He pervades. In America, your president pervades, makes his pervasiveness very visible, He pervades all over the country. Because his powers pervade. His powers pervade through his ministers, the ones who hold different portfolios. Similarly, the cosmic, the omniscience, pervades his universe, and he has his ministers holding different portfolios whom he has empowered. His ministers are the sun, the moon, the stars, the wind, the fire, the earth, all the elementals, all the elements of nature that influence your day-to-day life, that give you your life breath, that make this human life possible, are all because of the powers vested with these different elements. And that omniscient, intelligent being who has so much order in his creation, everything works with laws as we have studied in school, and therefore he also is looking out for me, the little jiva, along with billions of jivas that he takes care of. I am also one in his hands, and therefore let me learn to receive him as my guide, as my parent. Let me open my heart to receiving him as my healer. Let him manifest in me as divinity manifest in this body. Let my life expressions not be away from the divine. This form of a meditation in which I receive the cosmic energy into myself, living in the moment, can be a very beautiful healing, process based in truth, based in a reality. This is the final reality, you see. And therefore, if we can nurture meditations like this, when you arrive at the deep level in yourself, if I can work with the mind, in this manner, I would say it can really help heal a lot. Apart from this, learning to understand life situations not in terms of why this is happening to me, why me, we have this why me business, this why me is that victimized mind, Instead, if I can, as part of my healing, understand that whatever has happened, now it's past. Let me today as an adult, when I'm not helpless, I'm in charge of my life, I have choices I can make. I can be here or I can walk away. No one can stop me, I can do what I want. As an adult, I choose to close my accounts with people. Closing accounts means forgiving, accommodating. One thing I can only say in terms of what I do for myself, if what I talk to you is how I work with myself, I'm trying to address this. One, as I said, meditations where we bring in the cosmic, maybe the cosmic light you want to call it, the cosmic light, the cosmic justice, cosmic omniscience, and work with that light to heal. Okay, this is one thing. The second thing I consider very important in our journey is what the scriptures say in India. I have taken that very much to my heart, and I work with this and I find it very, very helpful. That every human being that is born with certain debt. Debt, D-E-B-T, debt. We have certain debts that we have come to clear, and in these debt, debt is something you clear, you don't keep it going. It is not the credit system, it is something you clear your accounts, you have to close your accounts. So in the journey of the jiva, he has a lot of credit debit, Sometimes we have taken so much from the world that we haven't, and the fellow keeps taking and pops off. He has a lot he owes to the world. He has to come back to give back. There are some who keep giving, who take less, who probably won't return because there's nothing to give back. As part of the giving, they have grown out of the necessity for the world. Everybody comes to clear debts. And in human relationships that invoke very intense emotional life, intensely, a very intense relationships when we have, whether it be with our parents or siblings or partners in life or friends, when they are intense, we need to understand there is an old debt that is playing out. Old debt, in the sense, maybe I took something from this person. In this life, I have to give back. Or, that's why you find yourself being more a giver than a receiver in a relationship. And no matter how much you give is not enough. And you wonder why, and you walk away from one relationship only to end up in a similar mess all over again, Because it's not about the other person, it's about you having to clear the account. And therefore, the clearing of debt is a very beautiful concept that helps me in accommodating people, in outgrowing a relationship, in being kind, being human, in being sensitive to others and their weaknesses, their limitations. And with this, I even settle. Internally, I settle. There's no judgment here. I just keep working towards clearing my accounts with the world. And I personally, I have found this a very beautiful attitude wherein you look upon every situation as a stage to give. Can I give here more than take? If I can give and walk away, I'm free, you know. So that becomes a inner challenge and inner process of growth. I would say that could be another very beautiful, graceful way of handling relationships, sometimes which are difficult, that you can't get out of, that you're stuck in, and you don't know what to do. Then you search for strengths in yourself to be bigger than the other. I hope I made myself clear. It's all part of the prerequisites, understand?
So we've nearly got to question 4.
Question 4. Okay, maybe I should shorten my answers. Okay.
So Ramana said self-inquiry is the most direct route to realizing the self. What do you say about self-inquiry and how to conduct self-inquiry?
I'm sure Ramana said that too in his writings, no?
He suggested yes also.
Can I know what in your understanding is
Well,
his
that's also quite a long answer. I mean,
Yeah.
in your system of teaching, are you not usually
there is nothing
suggesting self-inquiry?
there is nothing different from what Ramana said here. He did one thing if I could add here is that Ramana Maharshi, we look upon him as a rare person, a rare soul, a Mahatma, who in his young age he was himself able to know that he is not the physical body. He outlives his body. The body is gone, he would continue to be. This was something that came to him from a very young age, without a master, without any proper teaching. And we would say maybe that's because he had gone through the teachings before, in his past lives. He had already done a lot of work before. All he needed was to live some few years to live out his life of contemplation. And so self-inquiry in the tradition is talked about at 3. Self-inquiry is a composite of 3 elements. The first is Shravanam. Shravanam means listening to the master, learning about oneself, learning about the self in a systematic manner. God is taught in the tradition. The nature of the Lord, of the divine, or the nature of the self, both mean the same here, is taught in a systematic manner. There is a method of teaching, structured teaching. That we call Shravanam, which a guru gives you, a teacher gives you when you go and live with a teacher. As part of that learning, when questions come up, like when we say, okay, if the self doesn't die, if there is no birth, no death for the self, then who dies? What dies? You say, I am not the body, but when the body there is pain, I feel the pain. What does this mean? How do you reconcile what the mind understands and what the scriptures say? Does it align? you know. When the scripture says something and my mind opposes, then I don't agree with the scriptures. So there is a second component. What the scriptures say, does my mind understand or flow with it? If it doesn't, then those questions are addressed by that very same teacher who teaches. This is called Shravanam Mananam. Mananam means reflections. So you learn, and as you learn, you reflect. As you reflect and you don't understand, you again relearn. This is a process. The two components is a process connected with the teacher. You do it with the help of a proper guide. Having done this, having understood the nature of the self as scriptures tell, still in my life I may behave differently because I have some old patterns of behavior. It's like a bad habit, you know. You can't just drop it. You know it's bad, but then you still smoke or do whatever, or go this way or this way. So certain habits are hard to drop because of habitual patterns. Similarly, body identification, they're all habitually what you call carried by the jiva through so many lifetimes. If I need to dissociate there, I require to materialize these teachings with the help of a contemplative life, and that is called sitting in meditation, meditating, inquiring into the self, or recalling the words of the scriptures you have learnt. This third component is called nididhyasanam, or dhyanam, or meditation. So in the tradition we talk about self-inquiry has three components: Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam. Two with the help of a teacher, guru, third by yourself. And so Maharshi talked about the third because that's all it took for him. He didn't need an external teacher. So people think we don't need a person. But I do not know whether I can make myself an exception to the rule like Ramana was an exception. Or if I am an ordinary soul, then as an ordinary person, can my tradition help me? Can my spiritual culture help me? Spiritual culture says yes, learn, know through the proper teacher, reflect on the words, stay with the guru. And once you have gotten, your mind can understand, you have enough viveka vairagya, you have covered all your prerequisites adequately, and you have the teaching, then this will definitely materialize in your life. The third will be a walkover. The third stage will be a walkover. That's how I understand.
And in fact, when he was asked, who is your guru, he used to say Arunachala was his guru.
Yes, yes.
And he also advised people that it's useful to have a living guru.
Yes. Yeah, so, yes.
When Ramana was asked, when will the realization of the self be gained, he replied, when the world, which is what is seen, has been removed, there will be realization of the self, which is the seer. What is the true understanding of the world? How to remove the world?
Removal of the world, the word remove itself, we need to be very careful in understanding. Because removal can mean absence of the world, or it can also mean seeing the apparent nature of the world. seeing that the world is apparent. If I understand my shadow as a shadow, not real, I need not remove the shadow, because shadow cannot hurt me. If it's there, it's there. It's not there, it's not there. So, in other words, I have cognitively removed the world, removed the shadow. Even though physically I don't remove, cognitively I have removed its reality. Similarly, when we talk about, if I were to understand this in keeping with the traditional teachings, the tradition says Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Brahma Satyam, consciousness is the truth. Jagan Mithya, name and forms are apparent. Are you name and form, or are you the truth? The second half says, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. You are the truth. That means not the name and form. And so the name and the form is removed. In other words, it is apparent. I don't give it a reality independent of the self. Removal of the world means you do not give the seen world a reality independent of the seer. There is no seen minus the seer, but there is a seer minus the seen. Even though when there is nothing to see, the seer is not called the seer is called pure consciousness. Pure consciousness gains the status of the seer when there is something to see. So, the removal of the world means removal of giving the world an independent reality. The world doesn't exist independent of the seer, the consciousness. The consciousness is the truth, the world is incidental. Whether it is physically seen or unseen is incidental, but its reality is dependent on the consciousness, witness consciousness. That is how Vedanta teaches.
It has been suggested that the mind must be destroyed for liberation to occur. Do you have a mind? Ramana used the term monanasa. Is it monanasa? 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 Monanasa?
Mano.
To describe the state of liberation. Monanasa, number 6.
6.
Yeah, monanasa.
Oh, Mano Nasha.
Okay, yeah.
No, the spelling is wrong.
Spelling is also wrong. Oh, okay.
It is M-A-N-O, Mano Nasha.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, yeah. To describe the state of liberation, meaning destroyed mind. How to destroy the mind?
His work, Upadesha Saram, I'll have to look up the actual section. He talks about Mano Nasha versus there's another word he uses. Let me not make a comment without looking into this closely.
Okay, yeah. It's a very
Because there are two expressions he does use, and he does say Okay, let me not make a statement here.
Okay.
I would hold back on this because I don't want to be misread, misquoted.
Right. Well, it would be very
So
interesting to have your answer
yes,
later.
I'd like to look into that section because I've studied in Upadesha Saram, and then there is a commentary by that Swamigal who wrote a commentary on Upadesha Saram in Sanskritam.
Okay.
So I remember when I was studying that commentary and those verses, he made a distinction between Mano Nasha and one more word is coin. And then he talks about the limitation of this expression and goes with the other.
Okay.
So I'll need to look up that section properly before I say anything.
Okay. Do you have a mind? You have a mind.
What is that statement to trick me into?
No tricks here. You know, there is a sense that in achieving enlightenment, great saints, they don't really think. It just passes through, yeah? And so there is a sense of there being no mind.
There is no will, there is no purushartha, because there is nothing to achieve, there are no choices to make. So passing through means, yes, like I said, that pot maker, things happen, you're not the doer. The mind is a doer. The doer and the enjoyer is the jiva, is the mind, the person. But one who knows the self to be consciousness, consciousness is not the doer. It is akarta, abhokta. It's a non-doer, non-enjoyer. When I am a non-doer, then all that is done by the non-self. When the self is not the doer, hear me well, when the self is not the doer, all the doing that happens by the non-self. And when the doing happens by the non-self, the doing gets done by prakriti, by nature, by the non-self. I remain a witness to all the doings, remaining a non-doer. We are looking at this metaphysically, at metaphysical level. And therefore, when we say consciousness is a non-doer, witness consciousness, the self is witness consciousness. It's not a doer. All doing belongs to the body-mind-sense complex. Therefore, the body-mind-sense complex does. The self is not a doer. The body-mind-sense complex enjoys, is a doer and an enjoyer, an experiencer. Atma is not an experiencer. The self has no experience. To experience, you require the body-mind-sense complex. And the body-mind-sense complex can only experience anything that it comes in contact with, which is also made up of the same elements. Body-mind-sense complex is made up of the 5 elements. The world is made up of the 5 elements. So the two can come into contact and there is experience. The skin can feel the touch, the eyes can see the form, ears can hear sounds. All the doing takes place at the non-self level. Self is not a doer. And therefore, when we say the saints or enlightenment means enjoying your non-doing state of being, and things happen through the saints as you just expressed. What it means is they remain detached when doing takes place. If my I, sense of I, is placed in the consciousness, not in the body-mind, then all that the body-mind doesn't belong to me, the self. That does not mean that the body-mind will not do. It will do what it needs to do. But the doing is not owned up by the self. The self remains a non-doer. Things happen. Things get done. Things happen. I, the self, abide in the self. There is no doing involved here. I am consciousness. In consciousness is this body. In consciousness is the creation. In consciousness is Arunachala. In consciousness are the stars. In consciousness is you, she. In consciousness is the whole, is the stars, the moon, the sun, the hills, the earth. In consciousness is the planets. In consciousness is the galaxies. All that is in consciousness. That consciousness is the self. Period, full stop, it ends there. There is no place for a doing or being a doer there. There is nothing to be done. All that is done is done. All that is to be done is done. So all the doing that takes place. It is not done by the self. It is Prakriti, that's Mithya. All the doing is Mithya, it belongs to the body-mind complex, which is not the self. Therefore it is apparent. The self is Satyam.
What about vasanas?
Vasana?
The tendencies of the mind. Must these be removed before self-realization can become permanent? Could it be enough to achieve a sattvic state of mind and to know one's vasanas so they no longer bind? How to remove vasanas?
You know, the third stage of the third component of the spiritual life, self-inquiry, was nididhyasanam, dhyanam, what I call meditation. Meditating on what I have known about myself, so that my habitual patterns before knowledge, whatever my habitual patterns were of body identifications, can be falsified in light of my knowledge of the self. Removal of the vasana or working towards a state of mind where the vasanas does not disturb me is that third component. We are just putting it differently. Vasanas can also remain as long as they don't disturb the quiet of the mind. The Upanishad says, Sakashayam vijaniyat samaprapta na vichalayet. Sakashayam vijaniyat. In your meditation when you sit, and if there are certain things that come up, which happen, like when you are sitting on the lake front and then you are watching the still waters, and then suddenly one bubble comes up and pop, it just bursts out. Then again it is quiet. After some time another bubble comes up from the bottom and again it pops. What do? Nothing. Just watch. Remain unconnected or distant. Just watch. Be a witness. This is called Sakashayam Vijaniyat. I don't have to do anything to remove that bubble. It is all putrefied matter that's coming up, Similarly, vasana is the putrefied patterns of behavior that existed before self-knowledge. Some of it has not yet gone. It will go only after popping up. Let it pop up. So what? I remain as a witness consciousness to whatever the play of the mind is. I don't judge it, I don't identify with it. I remain distant from it. That is how vasanas, the Upanishad helps us, give us these tips to work with the vasanas in Nididhyasanam.
And very often we do identify with them.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
We identify, we judge, oh, we are still thinking like this, oh, I shouldn't be thinking like this. Oh, why does the mind still remain disturbed, Look at it. What is it that's disturbing it? Something like, if there is a wound which is not healed, it draws your attention through pain. If the wound did not pain, you won't even know. Very soon hand has to be amputated because you didn't even know there was a wound. It kept growing, there was no pain and you didn't take care of it, there was no extra attention given there. And next thing you know, the hand is gone because there was no way to know. So pain is a boon. Pain is a great blessing. In pain, my attention is drawn, mind telling me, hey, look here, you need to address this, you are hurting, please see, there is some kashaya, there is some vasana, there is something there from the past, look at it. And then I look, yes, let me see what is there to be looked at, what needs to be worked through, instead of judging, hey, why are you there? Pain, you shouldn't be there. After 10 years of spiritual practice, you are still there. I walk away from my guru. He didn't work out for me. Get mad at him. You didn't tell me my pain will continue even after 10 years of hanging around you. You're a phony. You're the poor guru, This is how gurus get into trouble, trying to be kind. Because somewhere the blame has to go. I'm so angry that is there. I'm angry because I have judged. I have decided it shouldn't exist. And it exists, therefore somebody is to blame. Of course I can't blame myself. I'm the victim. So who's the next one you can blame? Where there is a safe person, kind person who can receive the blame. When I'm little, it's my dad, my mom, and I'm older, it'll be this. This is the only unwise things gurus do, allow themselves to be sitting ducks for all transference issues. That's the only place their wisdom we question, why? It's nothing to judge, it's something to, again, the knack of remaining a witness consciousness when kashaya or vasana brings up issues.
So in a sense you're saying the vasana is there but has no harm if we're witnessing it.
Yes.
If it's still motivating our actions because there's no witnessing, then we're
we need to look at it. We need to address it. All we need to do is, if we are not able to remain a witness, if we identify with it, if it brings out pain, if it brings out some other memories, which disturb the quiet of my mind, then I need to come out of the meditation and address it. Look into it, write, do your journal work, do imageries, recall the situation, try to see where as a child, okay, this happened, but now as an adult, how can I save the situation? What can I do to close that chapter? Clear my debt. Rinam, close that chapter. What is it I can do?
Would you advise?
Therefore, that process, when I go through it, because the mind attracted my attention to that pain, once I have addressed it, then you go back to the meditation, it will be more settled. It won't come back.
So would you say that there are sometimes things, structures very strong, which would benefit from some kind of psychological therapy?
Yes. I would say psychological therapy, you can call it, you can even call it, modern Western world has really come up with some wonderful tools. I mean, I don't think we need to worry about only tools that the East has to offer. Today, Western world with your regressions, hypnotic regressions, past life regressions, we have so many methods. We have these meditations in the West, healing meditations, calling the white light, Reiki. These are little tools, but they are not that little. They do wonders. If I can work with them, they do wonders. Brian Weiss, others, they have done some phenomenal research and results they have talked about. So some of our issues are not necessarily connected to this life alone. Sometimes it's not just about a therapy where you sit and go for counseling. It's connected to some core issues from previous lifetimes, certain patterns, certain very vulnerable patterns of behavior. And so when you can address them through regressions, past life regressions even, you have cut through time, You have accepted Jiva as beyond this physical body. You cut through time. And the intelligence, inner intelligence, brings you back to those situations and helps you heal because you're ready for it. So there are tools today which can be used, and they do wonders. Wonders towards healing.
So a little bit of a technical question coming up. At the end of his book, Self-Enquiry, Ramana says, "He who is thus endowed with a mind that has become subtle and who has the experience of the self is called a Jivan Mukta. Is this the state that can be called self-realized? And when one is immersed in the ocean of bliss and has become one with it, without any differentiated existence, one is called a I may get this wrong, Viha Mukta."
Videha Mukta.
Okay. It is the state of that word that is referred to as the transcendental Turiya. This is the final goal. Is this the state that can be called enlightenment? Is the first state residing in the mind and knowing the self, and the second residing in the self, observing the mind? I think in a sense this question is coming out of the fact that sometimes in spiritual literature it talks about stages of enlightenment.
Yeah, I would, if I have to interpret what he means, I'd like to be more equipped in looking at the context in which he said what he said,
Right.
I wouldn't make a comment on just a isolated statement.
Okay.
Because there is a context.
Okay.
Okay.
And so, generally, how I understand Videha Mukti, Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti are two expressions. Jivan Mukti is one who has discovered the self as one with the cosmic self, as consciousness, remaining embodied, remaining in the physical body, is Jivan Mukti. Videha Mukti, a second word that I see there, tradition talks about it as this individual who has understood he is not the body-mind-sense complex and continues to live in the body. All right? So living, he is a saint, we say. But once the body is dropped, then what happens to him? Then we say he is a Videha Mukta. Videha Mukta means Videha. So Vigataha Dehaha Asmad. The body is gone from whom? That's called Videha. So after death, in other words, after death, what happens to him? He is one with the total consciousness. This is how, in the tradition, the two things are talked about, Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. Here I see there is something else being said here in the second expression, Videha Mukti. Jivan Mukti is right when the mind is sattvic and the nature of the self is reflected in the mind. In other words, the mind does not disturb the person away from himself. He is a Jivan Mukta, that is clean. But the second statement, since my understanding of Videha Mukti word is in keeping with the tradition, what exactly he means, I need to study the context properly before I can explain this.
That's okay, yeah. And would you say there are any stages of enlightenment?
They do talk about, but again that's an area I'd like to look into. I have not looked into in the scripturally what they talk about stages. I have not seen that in the Upanishads that I have studied or anywhere in the Bhagavad Gita. In the scriptural study, I have not seen the stages of enlightenment being discussed. But there are certain discussions in the tradition regarding the stages of enlightenment, different stages, and how that reflects in the total picture. I have not, I need to look into it before I, look into it very closely before I talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It appears essential to meet a guru and stay with that guru. Who is the guru? What is the guru's role? How to recognize a true guru?
Who is a guru? What is a guru's role? How to recognize? Okay, let's start with the first one. So in your one question, there are three questions, okay, understand? It's not my fault. I take these questions seriously, you know. So I have to answer each of them. Okay. Who is a guru? There is no guru, like there's no the guru, you know. There is no the father, the mother. A guru is a role a person takes for another individual who looks upon this person as who sees himself as a disciple to this person, you know. It's like a child who looks upon his parent as mom or dad. So I cannot walk up to you and ask, are you mother, you know, are you father? Are you the father? Are you the mother? Are you the guru? No. Because you are a mom to your child. Somebody is a dad to his child. So Guru is a Guru only to a person who sees himself as that individual's disciple, you know. There is no the Guru as such. So this is one thing we need to know. Secondly, I would say, when we talk about Guru means what? The Guru is a Sanskrit word. Gu refers to ignorance. Gukaraha andhakaraha. Rukaraha tannivartakaha. Gu means ignorance. Ru means removal. Andhakara nirodhitvad guru rityabhidhiyate. The one who removes your ignorance is a guru. Person is a guru for you if he can or he or she has been able to remove the ignorance from your life. What ignorance? Pot ignorance? Dance ignorance? Music ignorance? Well, accordingly, music guru, dance guru you can have. Traditionally, guru is a word given for one who removes self-ignorance. Alright? So who's a guru? The role of a guru is to remove self-ignorance, in other words, guide this person giving self-knowledge through Shravana Manana, two components, first two components. How do you identify a guru? Third question, right? All part of one question. How do you identify? That's what I ask you. How did you identify your guru? Arjuna asks, it's very interesting.
I mean, in my case, in the very beginning, I had two gurus. The first guru, I actually didn't like the look of him at all. And I was kind of taken there against my will, I think, you know. My will would never have gone there. And I was there, and then gradually I fell in love.
That's how Guru is not, you know, Arjuna asked this question to Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Who's a Guru? He uses the word Sthita Prajna. How does he talk? How does he look? He didn't ask, okay? How does he talk? How does he walk? Sthita Prajna se ka bhasha, samadhistasya keshava, sthita dihi kim prabhasheta, kim asita vrajeta kim. How does he sit? How does he walk? How does he talk? You know? So that I can measure him, I can identify. If he walks in slow motion, then I can say, aha, I caught him. He's there. If he walks too fast, nah, he can't be a guru. You know? So he asked this question, very interesting. Lord Krishna's answer to him is, he says, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanyeva atmana tushtaha sthita prajnaha tada uchyate. This is a statement Lord Krishna answers. Got it? So he says, Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. The one who can remain in himself, by himself, with himself, contented. He is a sthita prajna, he is a wise man. Oh, we can say, well, anybody can be contented in himself, by himself for a period of time, you know. This statement says, Sarvan manogatan kaman prajahati yaha. Having given up all desires born of the human mind, not wanting to fulfill any desires, Desires don't dictate his happiness. Whether fulfilled or unfulfilled, he is free from them. One who can remain in himself, with himself, by himself, contented, he is the wise man. That guru, if at all he is your guru, depends on if he chooses to teach you his wisdom. Therefore, the question should be, who is a wise man, not who is a guru. I'm sorry. Question, truly, the question is, the intent of the question is, who is a wise man? Guru is one who teaches you, it's connected to a disciple. But wise man is someone who is connected to wisdom. And the wisdom that reflects in a person's life in this manner, he is the one worthy to be asked to teach me, be my teacher.
So, would you say that somehow when, let's call him the disciple, when the disciple is ready, that the guru then appears?
Yes, that's part of the cosmic justice, where a seeker is never let down by the cosmic law. If I have staked my life into this, if I have given up whatever my normal life, quote unquote, normal society, normal living, in search of truth, in search of something deep, that some calling, I don't know what is calling me, I don't know where I am going, I don't know where will be my answer, I don't know who will be around, I don't know who will exploit my trust, I don't know where I should trust. These are all unknowns, so many unknowns in the journey of a spiritual person, is it not? And every stage, at any point, I can be taken for a ride. And therefore, there is a promise given to us by the scriptures that when you are ready, when you have worked on your prerequisites, when there is true dispassion, there is true discrimination, there is a commitment to growth, there is a commitment to forgiveness, there is a commitment to prayerfulness, this person will never be left hanging in life. He will find his answers. That right person will show up at the right time for you. That has to happen. That is the law. That's part of the law,
So would you say that part of the law is also a kind of inner fire, a kind of inner longing?
Yes.
That brings somebody...
Yes. Because that's the message, your core calling out in the universe to send somebody. You're ready, come on. Send me fill me up. Your normal bluff won't work for me. I've called your bluff, oh Lord. I've cut through this bluff of life. Now give me what it takes to complete my journey. And once that call is thrown into the cosmos, it cannot not be answered, because there is intelligence sitting there. Omniscience is sitting in the creation, and that is picked up, and right situations come up and take you to the right soul. There's no doubt about this. One should never have to doubt about this. Arjuna asked this question. He had a doubt in the Bhagavad Gita. Why we all love Arjuna? Because he sounds like us very often in the Bhagavad Gita. He asked this question to the Lord. If I give up everything and take to this, and what if I die? Ka gatim Krishna gacchati is his question in the Bhagavad Gita. So I neither made it there in a normal life, nor do I make it here in the spiritual life, because I didn't get the right breakthroughs. Ka gatim Krishna gacchati, what will happen to me? It is something like he compares, very beautiful analogy he gives, something like a cloud, moving in the sky, and this whole cloud was moving, and then this one little baby cloudlet moves away because it doesn't want to go with the group, wants to be different, so wants to be part of a unique tribe, and so wants to move away, and he moves away. And Arjuna says, what will happen to this cloud? His goal is to reach the peak of the the peak of the mountain and sit there. But if on the way, if it, disintegrates, then it's over. Neither could he, but the big cloud ends up moving ahead. This little fellow disintegrated. What will be the lot of a seeker who has walked away from the normal, the normal living? And Lord Krishna answers to this. He says, he will never lose anything. Even if he dies today, he will take his next birth and pick up the thread from where he left. In this spiritual journey, there is no restarting, reinventing the wheel. You have already come this far. And therefore, if today something happens to you, you will only pick up from here towards further on, but there is no such thing called, there's only one-way traffic, there's no going back. There's only one-way traffic, yeah.
You just keep on piling up the credits.
Yes, that's it.
Another hour is okay?
Yes.
Another hour? Really? Then I'll need a bucket here,
Ramana's devotees had tremendous devotion to him, and he to Arunachala. Please say something about bhakti, devotion, in the pursuit of awakening.
Bhakti, it is a word, devotion is a word which we all understand in our own ways. For many people, devotion means singing bhajans,
But for example, in the context you were just speaking, something that happens in a way between the seeker and the guru.
Yes.
There is some element, kind of invisible glue, you could say.
Yes.
And perhaps this is something to do with devotion.
Yes. Yes, I would say a similar relationship with the Lord. Relationship of an individual with the total is a fundamental relationship of every human being, of any creature, anybody born, anyone who has birth is an entity, embodied entity. That embodied entity has a relationship with the total, in whose laws this birth has taken place. So the fundamental relationship of an individual is with the Creator, really. Devotion is that relationship with the Creator which I never lose in my life, Again, like Karma Yoga, we need to be alert. Devotion, sometimes bhakti or devotion is looked upon as an activity. Let's have some bhakti, Let me sing some bhajans, sing some prayers, light a candle or a lamp. Or if you have a guru, go and massage his feet, Imagine 25 disciples, each one wanting to massage the feet. Guru become a pulp, his feet become a... So each one thinks bhakti in terms of an action. Many people think bhakti as an act of worship. It begins as an act of worship, but it doesn't end there. An act is taken up in order to invoke a spirit behind the action. Whenever you have a gesture, an act, you do, it is meant for a purpose, For example, if I give this rose to someone, when you give this rose, it's an act which has a message in it, isn't it? A form is used to carry a spirit, an emotion, a message. You will not give a rose to your enemy unless you're trying to make up with the enemy. Nor will you give a thorn to a friend unless there is some message hidden there, So symbols, this is called symbolism, symbols. You use a symbol to carry your sentiment, because sentiments are subtle. They require a form to carry to the other side. Sentiments cannot be carried without a form. That's why many great friends, many couples, relationships fall apart because they could not share the basic sentiment that they love each other. They couldn't talk about that, or they couldn't express, To express something, you require a form. Bhakti, as an act of worship, forms are used in order to invoke a sentiment. In meditation nowadays, I find this, in New Age groups I have seen, you light an incense, put on soft music, turn down the lights. All this is done for what? To forget the world. But you're using the world to forget the world. Incense is part of the world. Music is part of the world. It requires electricity. It requires equipment. So, but then it creates an ambience. It creates the atmosphere that helps me go into myself. So incense is not meditation, but it's a facilitator to carry me deeper. Bhakti used in different acts, these actions are meant to create a certain attitude towards the Creator or towards an exalted being like Ramana Maharshi. Ramana Maharshi says, I have the devotion towards the Lord. So you create an act in order to carry a sentiment. In knowledge, what happens is, in self-knowledge, what happens is, I don't need to create an action in order to carry my sentiment. When knowledge becomes my base, in self-knowledge, the Lord is included in my awareness. I don't need to create a ritual, an act, to carry my sentiment of devotion. I remain ever devoted. Knowledge doesn't go away, it remains. And in that knowledge, the sentiment floats, sustains. And therefore, devotion becomes an attitude. The sentiment becomes an attitude, not an action. Like karma yoga is not an action but an attitude. Bhakti is an attitude towards the one whom you are devoted to. And in this case, we are looking at devotion to the Lord. That's possible. A saint is the greatest devotee. One who has oneness with the Lord is the greatest devotee of the Lord. Then you say, well, if he is one with the Lord, how can he be devoted to him? To be devoted, you require a, hierarchy, a higher and a lower. That is the culmination of devotion. When the lower is no more lower, it has become one with the higher. That is the culmination of devotion. This is said in the Bhagavad Gita, again I quote, Chaturvidha bhajante mam ye janaha sukritorjuna. Lord says, I have 4 types of devotees. Artha artharthi jignasu jnani. The first guy comes to me also devoted, but he comes to me only when he is in trouble, When things go wrong in his life, he starts or goes to the temple, prays, remembers the Lord. Only when things don't go right. He is an Artha Bhakta, devotee in distress. Then the devotee in distress gets a little wiser in life. He thinks, every time I was in distress, I prayed, things worked for me. Now, why not I move forward in life? Suppose I want to invest money somewhere. Suppose I can take Lord's help in that also. I can give him 10% to that church or that temple. And then maybe in my generosity he will bless me, have this business. So you begin to make deals with the Lord, You do this for me and I'll do this for you. You help me this way, I'll give you that much, This is called Artharthi Bhakta. He is also a devotee, but he uses Lord as his accomplice, in achieving what he wants. Third type of devotee is one who doesn't want things from the Lord. He says, I've been taking from you all the time. Now you are the all resourceful source. Why should I take things from you? Why not I just capture the resource person himself? Why not he himself remain with me? Then I have all resources always. And therefore I want you, O Lord. He is a mumukshu, the third one, a spiritual seeker who seeks the Lord as his prime project in life. In search of the self, he seeks the Lord. Fourth devotee is one who doesn't seek anything anymore. He also prays, but prays in glorification of the Lord, because he has become one with him. He has understood the secret. And Lord says in the second line, Lord, in the Gita, Udaraha sarva evaite jnani tu atmaiva me matam. All 4 types of devotees are dear to me. All 4, mind you, all 4 are dear to me, because they seek me in some form or the other. But the 4th one is me. All 4 are dear to me, but the 4th is me. I am him, he is me. That is the culmination of devotion. So for a spiritual seeker, he moves from the 3rd to the 4th. His journey is from the 3rd to the 4th. He is done with 1 to 2. He's from 3rd to 4th is his journey. There's no he, that's our journey. That's your journey.
So in the very beginning, I started the interview by asking, who are you?
Yes.
So is that the answer?
Yes.
That 4th?
4th.
You're that
4th. Jnani tu atmaiva me matam. Yes. That's what we all are. That's what we all are.
Okay. Seekers often have curious ideas about the enlightened state. Please describe your typical day and how you perceive the world.
My typical day has nothing to do with what I hold in me. The day is apparent, it's mithya. Each day has its character. It's like the kaleidoscope. Have you ever seen through the kaleidoscope? You can never look at that same design again, Each moment is a design frozen, has its own pattern, its own beauty, its own shape and form and color. Try to recreate it. Then you go back thinking if you go the other way, it will come back to the same. Never comes back to the same. So there is no typical day. Sorry if I disappoint you. Each day is new, each day is fresh. Each day has something to offer that the previous day I didn't even know existed. And I live to my life. Day to day living is what my life is, moment to moment life. Rising to the moment is my life. That's all I would say.
I would just like to thank you that by responding to a telephone call only yesterday afternoon, you're somehow exemplifying that moment to moment.
Moment to moment.
I really
It's
thank
really
you
true.
for that.
Yes.
And the last question.
Yes. How happy everyone looks. To be relieved.
We'll just be in time for dinner.
Okay.
You've given us a profound discourse on awakening. When you would meet someone with a passion for awakening, what would be your short advice?
I don't think into the future. I live in the moment.
In this moment, do you have any advice?
Unasked, I don't give advice. What advice would you like to have? In what context? I've really said what I needed to say through your very, very beautifully placed questions.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, which I didn't ask you?
One thing I would like to add is, as a person who has lived in the Western world and in the Eastern world, been part of society and fallen out of society, both, out in the sense, not as part of the regular stream of living. I do want to say one thing that I have seen in my personal years of moving in the Western world and living with many Western seekers. My own Gurukulam where I studied Vedanta was in upstate California, and I had many American Gurubhais who were staying with me. We were all together with our Guru learning, and we remained friends for a number of years. We are still in touch with some of them. What I mean to say is, I find a lot of a very, very, very genuine search in those of you who come from the Western world to the Far East, looking for answers. And the people I meet, when I talk to them, everything that is said, everything that's given from the Indian side is taken very much to heart, carried, and brought into life, however different, however alien the culture might be, the ways might be. I've seen a tremendous capacity to really totally give your all and hope that things will work out and work towards that, of course. This is something very special about you, and I want you to understand it is special about you, because that is the kind of Shraddha, the faith that is sought by the tradition. But I also would like to alert you that one needs to also in one's search for deeper answers, spiritual answers, it is important that we understand our role of being simply good human beings. That prerequisite that I said, that's our own internal work. No guru can help in that, that's our work. And if I have been honest with myself, there is a self-dignity that should never have to be staked at the feet of anybody. No spiritual tradition can ever say, give me your all, including human respect, including self-respect. And so, why I say this is because there has been a lot of abuse from the Eastern cultures. People have posed to be teachers. People have taken people for a ride and so on. And years go by, and finally, by the time you realize, you were a hurt soul and now you're more hurt. And so one needs to always, Shraddha or faith means placing yourself, but trusting the person in front for knowledge. And for knowledge, when we say, if that person can take you to yourself, you are with that soul. You learn. Go back to yourself. Never pay a price for knowledge with your human self-respect. If you find it ever crosses the boundary, the relationship, be honest and reflective enough to walk away from it, so that you are not hurt in later years. Because I have also met some people in my travels where they no more understand what a guru is all about. And that's because they gave their all, And giving your all means what? We have to understand what giving our all means. Giving our all doesn't mean giving your dignity, giving your trust so that the person gives me the knowledge. I have my Viveka, Vairagya, my humane qualities in place, my desire to know in place. It's all the four prerequisites. The prerequisites don't say you should massage the Guru's feet. It doesn't say you should work 24 hours for his glory or ashram. That the tradition doesn't say. And therefore, it's very important that we don't lose our thinking mind, reasoning mind in being able to even understand things. When it comes to taking care, healing and so on, the West has solutions, has come up with certain process of psychological healing, certain tools which are appropriate to you. Maybe for me, parikrama, going around the hill, is required for healing. Maybe it's not required for you. Maybe it will work for me, maybe it will not work for you. Because that's also cultural. If it works for you, wonderful. If it doesn't work for you, doesn't mean you have to kill yourself for it. You know, the whole idea is to live and grow into this beauty of life, not to hurt yourself more. And therefore you take tools which are appropriate to your culture, to your tradition. Healing is not just all about, spirituality is not just about healing. Spirituality is not just about getting over some abuses in childhood. Spiritual life is a lot more than that. Spiritual life is seeing myself as free in spite of the abuses, in spite of what happened to the body-mind. I am not the body-mind sense complex. Self is free, it was ever free. Self is untouched, it was ever untouched. That is spirituality. And therefore, the relative level of healing and so on is at a relative level. There are tools in the worldly levels, body-mind level. India has its tools, the West has its tools. I can take these tools, those tools, whichever works for me. If you want to take purely Western tools for your body-mind healing, go ahead, nothing wrong. But that's not the end of spirituality. You heal and then come to spiritual life. Gain a maturity, take care of your prerequisites. Being a good human being is not necessarily a spiritual life. I can be good and have nothing got to do with spirituality. I'm just a simple ethical human being. Ethical people need not be spiritual, need not be religious even. They're simply ethical. Nothing wrong. Spirituality takes something more than purely healing. It takes a lot more than purely being sane, being mature. It takes that deeper search for freedom from a life of limitations and becoming. Spiritual life means discovering the self as being timeless, being free from the bondages of time and space. That's the self I want to know myself to be. That life taken is spiritual life. Up to that point, we are working with the prerequisites. It's all necessary for that ultimately. And therefore, integrating different tools is fine. Do whatever it takes in that mithya level, relative level, whichever works, works. There is no Indian system alone that will work and the Western system will not work. I do not agree with that. If I need to go for therapy, I should go for therapy. I cannot then say it is Western and not Indian. I should have the honesty to take that. Or if it is Girivalam Parikrama that I need to do for my therapy, then that's what my culture gives me and I can relax into that, then that's what's right for me. So these are just tools and let us not give them too much weightage and then suffocate under it, you know. Because you, all said and done, you are born and brought up in the Western world. You have been raised with certain orientations, certain ways of being, what works for you, what doesn't work, and that's fine. We respect you for that. You don't need to disown any of it. In fact, what spirituality should give you is add to that, embellish that, complete that cycle from that end. I complete it from this end. We should be able to come together above cultures, above above religion, above culture, above land and time and place frameworks, civilization frameworks. We are free from all of that. You see? And therefore, I need you to relax into yourself, into this country, enjoy, you're here, you're very happy. We really welcome you. Tiruvannamalai is I don't know what to say. If I start talking, I might choke, you know. It's the place Premanandji could have brought you. There is no better place. The heart of the spiritual life is here at his feet. He knew where to land, and so he keeps bringing his people here all the time. There's a reason for it. So you have proper guidance from him, and at his feet you cannot go wrong. I trust that very much. And so just trust, be prayerful, and I'm sure you have a great life ahead in the spiritual world, fulfilling, healing with proper guidance. Okay? This, thank you all.